Hi everyone, welcome back to the channel JIV and CIV Made Simple, where we break down complex financial concept into easy to understand content. Today we are diving into our unit number 9 theory portion, which is based on International Financial Service Center. So these are the topics which we will cover in this particular lecture. Objectives, introduction, a scope of IFSC. What is this IFSC? I will discuss. That is called International Financial Service Center. And what is the scope of IFSC in India? Opportunities at gift center. We will also see that if you have to set up the IBU, when I say IBU, I means to say IFSC banking unit. So what are the guidelines for setting up IBU by Indian Bank? What is the role of IFSCA, and what are the regulatory framework and permissible activities at IBU? So this video will be bowed down in parts, right? At least 2 parts or 3 parts will be there. So in the first lecture, let's continue with our objectives and introduction. See, first question is what is IFSC? What are they? Why do you matter? Why do they matter in India and the world? So what is IFSC? That is International Financial Service Center. See, in simple terms, it is a hub that handles financial services and product for people or business. So what I am saying, it is a kind of hub, right? What it does, it handles financial services, right? You can see this hub handle financial services and product. Two things it handle. First thing it handle product, and the second thing it handle is services, right? So it is a hub which address financial services and product for people and businesses that are outside the local economy, right? Basically IFSC focus on global, it focus on global transaction. So the key point is global transaction, right? So it focus on global transaction. You can think of them as a financial bridge connecting different countries. So you can think of them like a financial bridge connecting the different countries, right? So now let's discuss what does IFSC do. So these center are involved in, first thing, fundraising. You can see clearly written that it deals with the fundraising. Let's move to the next slide. Yes. So first thing they do, that fundraising. That means helping companies and organizations raise money internationally. Then second thing is, as you can see written here, asset management and wealth management. So what does it mean? See, they manage large pool of money for wealthy individual or organization. Next come risk management. As you can see clearly written, risk management. So risk management means helping businesses handle global risk like changes in currency exchange rate or financial crisis. Next thing is corporate treasury management. So it means managing the finance of large corporation. Then next thing is merger and acquisition. So what does it mean? That assisting in the buying and selling or merging of company across country. Basically you can say they are like powerhouse. You can say this IFSC are like powerhouse that keep the global flow of finance running smoothly, right? So hopefully you have now understood what does the IFSC basically do. Fundraising, asset management, wealth management, right? They act like a hub, right? So they act like a hub that handle financial services and product for people or businesses that are outside the local economy. So they focus on global transaction. Every aspect we have covered in this particular slide. Now let's discuss the scope of IFSC in India. What is the scope of IFSC in India? Now you might wonder, why does India need IFSC? What is their role here? IFSC in India serve a dual purpose. So it is clearly written that it serve a dual purpose. What are the dual purpose? The first purpose is that they connect Indian economy with that of rest of world. So this is the major thing. Indian economy is connected to the rest of world, right? So this is one of the most important advantage of IFSC. The next thing is that sorry friends, they help Indian company engage in international finance, right? So the second thing is that they help Indian company engage in international finance, like suppose we are borrowing from abroad, right? So they help Indian company engage in international finance like borrowing from abroad or investing globally. But there is a twist. What is the twist? The bank operating in this center are treated like a foreign bank. Remember, bank in IFSC operate as a foreign bank. Remember it. This is a twist, right? So these bank operate like a foreign bank. They are treated like a foreign bank. They take deposit only from non-resident. Remember, they take deposit only from non-resident citizen, right? And they can lend only to the non-resident too. So that is the key point. They are treated like a foreign bank. They will take deposit from non-resident citizen and they will lend to the non-resident only, right? Now the next question is how IFSC support India growth. How IFSC support India's growth. This is the key point. Try to understand. IFSC is very crucial for financial reform, right? So because of India's financial restriction, these center act like a testing ground. So remember this keyword, testing ground. These center act like a testing ground for reform before they are applied across the entire country. This make them a safe zone to experiment with new ideas in finance, right? So let's make it more easier to understand. Whatever I am saying you, let's make it more easier to understand. See, let's make it even easier with an example. Imagine a big Indian corporation. You can imagine a big Indian corporation and that want to invest in Europe. This corporation want to invest where? In Europe. Instead of dealing with multiple bank and regulation, they can approach an IFSC in India, which operate with international flexibility. This make their life easier while keeping their operation within a system connected to the global market. So that is why it is called testing ground for financial sector reform before they are rolled out in the entire nation due to the restriction on the financial sector in India, right? So before we wrap up, let's quickly recap the key points which we have discussed in these two slides. First thing is that IFSC focus on global financial transactions. Remember this keyword, right? They focus on global financial transaction from fundraising to the merger. You can see written flow of finance to the merger. In India, IFSC are treated as hub for international banking, but they only deal with non-resident. Already I have told you that IFSC deal with non-resident only. And second thing is that they help connect Indian financial system with the world while also serving as a testing ground for reform. So in short, IFSC are like financial nerve center for companies looking to going global, right? So that is a simple overview of what IFSC are and why they matter in India. Now let's discuss Gift City. So here you can see Gift City regarding the points. See, so in the last slide we have covered what an IFSC is and what it is role in India. Now let's zoom into Gujarat International Financial Tech City, also known as Gift City, which is India's very own operational IFSC. What makes Gift City special? Let's break it down. So Gift City is located in Gandhinagar, Gujarat, and it is a game changer in the world of international finance for India. So this special city started functioning on December 5, 2019, right? Gift City started functioning from 5 December 2019, and it has already attracted 225 companies. It has attracted 225 companies already, and these include 3 public sector bank, 9 private sector bank, and 3 MNCs bank. So it is already buzzing with financial activity. Now what is the special benefit of this Gift City? One of the major reason why Gift City is so attractive to the businesses is because of the incentive it offers. So here keyword you can see incentive. It offers certain incentive. What kind of incentive? For example, if a non-resident, so suppose a non-resident, and this particular non-resident does certain taxable. So suppose this non-resident does certain taxable security transaction here, they are exempted from the security transaction tax. So no security transaction tax is levied on them, right? And also this exemption is based on the section 98 of the Indian Finance Act 2004. So this is an important incentive that they need, that they get. So essentially it makes it profitable for the international player to operate in Gift City. Why? Because you can clearly see that non-resident are exempted from the security transaction tax. It is special, truly exciting are the opportunities it offers. Let's quickly look at the opportunity. First opportunity is that large market access, right? So Gift City give business access to both a massive hinterland economy and international market. Second thing is connecting the Indian diaspora, right? Connecting Indian diaspora. So what it means? So it means that India has a huge diaspora. Over 30 million people are spread across the globe with a combined worth of USD 3 trillion. Through Gift City, we can connect this wealthy and influential group back to India, creating enormous financial opportunity. Then next thing is inbound and outbound gateway. So you can see large hinterland economy and international market, and 30 million in strong Indian diaspora with combined worth of USD 3 trillion can be connected to India through the IFSC. And next thing is Gift City. So you can think you can do one word written here, inbound and outbound gateway. So you think of Gift City as a two-way street. So you can think of it like a two-way street. So it can serve both as an inbound and outbound gateway for international financial services. Whether foreign business want to enter India, suppose this is India and this is foreign business, right? So it want to enter India, or Indian company want to expand globally. So suppose Indian company is there and it want to expand globally, right? So either of these cases there, Gift City can facilitate these moves. Now the next thing is global in-house center. Remember this thing. So global in-house center, Gift City has the potential to become a hub for the global in-house center. These are the offices or division of multinational company, or you can say MNCs. So this global in-house center are offices of division of the multinational company that provide services like IT. It provides services like HR, right, and or finance. So IT, HR or finance has global competitive cost structure. So Gift City is not just about banking, it is about offering a cost effective base for global service. Let me give you an example to make it clearer. Imagine a large Indian bank setting up a unit in Gift City. So suppose there is a large Indian bank and this bank is setting up a unit in the Gift City, because Gift City offers access to international market and exemption from tax. As you can easily see, already I have told you that there is a tax called security transaction tax which is exempted, right? So you can imagine a large Indian bank setting up a unit in Gift City, because Gift City offers access to international market and exemption from tax. So this bank can serve both its Indian and international client more efficiently. It is like setting up a base in a city that gives you all the benefit of being international while still staying in India. Now you might wonder, how do Indian banks set up a shop at Gift City? How do they do? Right. So there are some guidelines. So well, they follow certain guidelines for establishing IFSC banking unit, that is in short called IBU, right? So these units can operate in Gift City like a foreign bank, giving them access to international business without leaving Indian soil. It is a win-win for bank that want to go global while still being anchored in India. So let's summarize the key fact which we have covered in previous two slides. So first thing we have seen is that Gift City in Gujarat is India's first operational IFSC, offering incredible incentive such as tax exemption for non-resident. It connect business with international market. Already I have told you that this Gift City connect business with the international market and had a strong potential to become a global financial hub. It can also connect the massive Indian diaspora to the Indian economy, creating a powerful financial link. Gift City could become a major base for global in-house center with its competitive cost structure and business-friendly environment. In short, Gift City is positioning itself as a leading international destination for financial services, offering a bright future for the Indian and global business. So that's all for this particular slide which we have just covered now. Now let's move on to the next topic, that is global talent. From here we will discuss. So in the last slide we have learned about Gift City role in international financial services. Now let's explore how Gift City is shaping up to be world class fintech hub. It written here, you can see world class fintech hub. How Gift City is shaping up and how it is attracting talent, how it is creating massive business opportunity. First let's talk about talent. So this keyword talent. See, Gift City is quickly becoming a leading financial hub, right? It is becoming a leading financial hub, which means it is attracting global talent from the world of finance and technology. You can imagine top financial minds and tech expert, from around the world coming together to work in one place. That is what Gift City aims to achieve. And because it offers world-class infrastructure, it is really pulling in global professionals looking for the next big opportunity. It's obviously it offers world class infrastructure, right? Now, so this is how it is attracting the talent. Okay, it is attracting global talent. So top financial mind and tech experts from around the world coming together to work in one place. That is the key advantage. Next thing is fund administration hub. You can see fund administration. So how it work, how does this fund administration works, try to understand. Gift City is also emerging as a major center for fund administration. This is where large investment fund, whether it is hedge fund, private equity fund or mutual fund, this is where these funds can be managed and administered efficiently. So Gift City is not just about banking, it is about handling huge sum of global investment. Now, business opportunity. So what are the some of the key business opportunity? See, some of the key business opportunity in gift available in Gift City. There are a lot happening here, and business have several areas that they can explore. Like you can see, first thing is wholesale banking. So this involve banking services between large institution and corporate client. So when I say wholesale banking, what does it mean? I mean to say that suppose there is a large institution, right? On one side there is a large institution, and other side there is a corporate. It is not between institution and individual, remember it. And the next comes is capital market. So Gift City offer a platform for the global trading in stock, bonds and other securities. Next come is retail market, retail banking. Obviously retail banking, even regular banking services for individual can be set up here. That is called retail banking. Next thing come is treasury management. So managing large corporate fund, controlling cash flow and dealing with currency exchange are the big opportunities in Gift City. And of course other financial services like insurance and asset management are flourishing here as well. Now let's talk about how to set up this IFSC. Setting up IFSC banking unit, that is called IBU. See, now let's talk about the guidelines for the Indian bank, both public and private, looking to set up a shop in the Gift City. Here are some key rules they need to follow. Only bank that are authorized to deal in foreign exchange are eligible to set up IFSC banking unit, IBU. So those banks which are eligible, which are authorized to deal in foreign exchange, they are eligible. And in simpler terms, only bank that handle foreign currency can operate here. Interestingly, each bank can set up only one IBU in each international financial service center. So in one IFSC, one bank can open only one IBU. That is a thing you have to, that is a constraint which have been put. In simple terms, only bank that handle, okay. So no matter how big the bank is, it is limited to one unit per IFSC, remember it. And there is also requirement for minimum capital. Let's move on to the next slide and let's see what is the minimum capital requirement. So there is also requirement for the minimum capital, and what is that, how much it has. So you can see that the minimum capital is that the parent bank need to provide at least 20 million US dollars. So that is the point, 20 million dollar, right? 20 million dollar the parent bank need to provide, or the equivalent in any foreign currency, to its IBU. And this amount needs to be maintained at all the time, acting as a financial buffer for the unit. So the parent bank need to provide at least USD 20 million or equivalent in any foreign exchange to its IBU, right? This is one key point to remember, nearly 20 million dollar that parent bank need to provide, right? And this amount need to be maintained at all the time. Now here is the exciting part for the bank. When they set up their IBU in the Gift City, obviously I have told you that IBU is set up in the Gift City. So when the bank set up IBU in the Gift City, their liability are exempt from the CRR and SLR. Remember it, the liabilities of IBU are exempted from the CRR SLR requirement of the RBI. What does it mean, liabilities we are talking about? So already I have told you that no CRR SLR requirement is there, right? And also we have discussed the minimum capital requirement. They are exempted from the CRR and SLR ratio requirement of the RBI. What does this mean? When I say they are exempted from CRR SLR, it means that if the bank, that these banks don't have to hold a portion of their deposit in cash or liquid asset, giving them more flexibility to operate and lend. So give me an example to simplify this concept. So let's say a private bank in India want to expand its international operation. By setting up an IBU in the Gift City, the bank can offer foreign currency services to the global client, have more financial freedom because they are exempted from certain RBI requirement, and have a competitive edge in the international market, right? So all of these whole is still being based in India. So let's summarize the key fact which we have covered in the previous two slides. So the first thing is that Gift City is emerging as a fintech hub. It is also attracting the global talent. Opportunity. An Indian bank can set up IFSC banking unit, but each bank can only have one IBU per IFSC. And bank must maintain a minimum capital of 20 million US dollar for their IBU, and their liabilities are exempted from CRR and SLR. So these are the key point which we have covered till now. Now let's discuss. This is how GIFT City is creating massive opportunity, and not just for India but also for global financial community as well. Now that is how we have explored the Indian banking setup. Indian bank set up IFSC banking unit in GIFT City. Let's dive deeper into how this unit operate and the role of the IFSCA. These two things we will discuss. Right. So role of IFSCA means International Financial Service Center Authority. Now first discuss the fund raised by IBU. Right. So first up, how do IBU raise fund? You can see written here. How do IBU raise fund? So it is important to understand that the fund raised by these banking units come from non-resident and their overseas branch. Already I have told you it comes from non-resident and their overseas branch. So this is key because IBU are essentially international banking hub. Already I have told you these IBU are international banking hub, so they can only source money from outside India, right? And if we talk about the Indian bank and IBU, so you can see that Indian bank are allowed to create this international banking unit to expand their global presence. But here is the cool part: while they raise from the outside India, they can deploy or lend those funds to both people inside and outside the country. So you can see fund can be deployed with both person resident in India and out the so what is happening here? Suppose this is IBU, it is raising from outside India, but this fund can be used for inside India also and outside India also. Raised by them it's outside the India, but they can invest the fund in either inside the India, so they can deploy or lend those funds to both people inside the India. However, if they want to lend money within India, they have to follow the rule of FEMA 1999. Foreign Exchange Management Act. This ensures that there is a proper regulation of the foreign currency flow within Indian market. Now let's talk about the restriction in the IBU. Let's come to the next slide. So now IBU come with few restrictions, right? Like for example, they are not allowed to handle cash transaction or to offer saving bank account. You can see it clearly. Cash transaction, saving bank account are not allowed. So don't expect to walk into IBU to withdraw cash or open a saving account. Instead, IBU can offer current account and term deposit. This makes them more focused on business transaction and investment activities rather than day-to-day banking. Next thing is KYC and deposit. What does it mean? When I say KYC and deposit, what does it mean? See, of course, these IBU. Now KYC and deposit, these IBU are still part of the Indian banking system. So Indian KYC, when I say KYC, what does it mean? Know your customer and AML, anti-money laundering norms apply to them. This means they need to ensure that all their customers are properly identified and that the money they deal with is clean and legitimate. But here is one important thing to note: this deposit with IBU are not insured. Right, deposit with IBU are not insured, right? So this is one of the key point, and this means if something goes wrong, there is no insurance protection for your money, right? Now let's discuss the role of IFSCA. So let's talk about the IFSCA, the regulatory body behind all this activity. Its full form is International Financial Service Center, and last is authority. Last word A stands for authority, and everything is same, IFSC. Now the next question is what is the role of IFSCA? So the regulatory body behind all this. So IFSCA is a unified authority responsible for development and regulation of all financial products, all financial services, and it is like the one-stop shop for all financial regulation and development in this special zone. Now let me give you an example to make it more clear. So let's examine a scenario to help explain this. Let's say you are non-NRI investor. You are NRI investor and who want to deposit fund into the IBU in GIFT City. Your fund can be held in the current account or a term deposit, but remember, you won't have any insurance on this deposit. The bank follow a strict KYC ML rule to ensure everything is right to your account. Now that we have understand the operation of IBU, let's explore the role of International Financial Service Center Authority, which was set up to ensure a smooth regulation and promote international financial services in India. The IFSCA was established on 27th April 2020, and under the IFSCA Act of 2019, with its headquarters in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. So why was this important? Well, before IFSCA came into the picture, financial activities in the IFSC, that is International Financial Service Center, were regulated by various bodies like RBI, like SEBI, like PFRDA and IRDA. Each of these regulator controlled a specific aspect of the business, which could sometimes make things complicated. But now let's discuss the objective of IFSCA. What is the main objective of this IFSCA? But IFSCA was created to simplify all that. It acts like a unified regulator, right? So how does it act like? It acts like a uniform regulator with the main goal of making it easier to do business in this financial hub. By having one single regulatory body, it is much easier for companies and banks to comply with the rules and focus on growing their business. Now let's discuss the primary objective of this IFSC. It aims to develop a strong global connection, right? And to link the Indian economy with the international market. And second thing is that it serves as an international financial platform for businesses, not only from not only India but the entire region and even globally, right? So now let's give you example to simplify this concept. See, IFSCA, you can think IFSCA as one stop shop for any company or bank looking to operate in the IFSC, like Gift City. Instead of dealing with multiple regulators, you only have to answer to one, which saves time and simplify business operation. It is like a central authority that makes sure everything runs smoothly, like a referee in football game, ensuring that all rules are followed without disrupting the game. Now let's discuss with the licensing for bank. Now let's talk about how bank, both India and foreign, set up their international banking unit, that is called IBU. How Indian bank and international bank set up an IBU. If a bank want to open an IBU in an IFSC, it must get license from IFSCA, right? So licensing requirement is must. License, it has to take license from IFSCA, right? You can see written here, license from IFSCA. Now the license is essentially like a ticket to operate in IFSC. Now let's quickly summarize of what we have learned about IFSCA. So the first thing we have seen, IFSCA was established on 27th April 2020 under the IFSCA Act 2019, and its headquarters is in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. IFSCA act like a unified regulator, simplifying the rule and making it easier to do business in IFSC. It aims to connect the Indian economy with the global market. Prior to IFSC, there were many regulators which control IFSC operation. Any bank, either it is Indian or foreign, wanting to set up an IBU in IFSC needs to obtain a license from the IFSC, right? So that's about this point. Now let's quickly summarize whatever point which we have covered in this particular session. We have seen till this now guideline for setting up IFSC IBU by Indian bank and role of IFSC. Till 9.5 minute we have seen. So let's quickly summarize whatever point which we have covered in this particular session. So from the starting I am telling you, let's quickly summarize the fact, whatever point which we have covered just now. So first of all, we talked about IFSC, which focus on global financial transaction from fundraising to merger, right? And in the context of India, I have told you that IFSC are treated as hub for international banking, but they only deal with non-resident, right? They help connect India's financial system with the world while also serving as a testing ground for reform. So this is the point which we have covered. Also we have told you about Gift City, which is Gujarat International Financial Technology Tech City, India's first operational IFSC, offering incredible incentive. It connects business with international market and has a strong potential to become global financial hub. We have also talked that Gift City can connect the massive Indian diaspora to the Indian economy, creating a powerful financial link. Then we have discussed that Gift City could become a major base for a global in-house center with its competitive cost structure and business-friendly environment. In short, Gift City is positioning itself as a leading international destination. Then we have talked about Gift City is emerging as a financial hub. You can see clearly written fintech hub, and key business opportunity include wholesale and retail banking, capital market and treasury management. You can see written here. And then we have seen that Indian bank can set up IBU, but each bank can only have one IBU in per IFSC. Then we have seen that bank must maintain a minimum capital of USD $20 million for their IBU, and their liabilities are exempted from CRR and SLR. Okay, then next point which we have covered is that IFBU can raise fund from non-resident and overseas branches. Second point is that IBU, they can deploy fund both inside and outside India, keeping FEMA 1999 regulation in mind. Right. Next thing we have seen that Indian KYC, AML and delinquency norms apply to all these units. So keep in mind, deposit in IBU are not insured, and the IFSC is the unified authority responsible for the regulation. Next thing we have seen that IBU can run. Okay, so this thing we have covered. Okay, we have seen that IFSC was first established on April 27, 2020 under the IFSC Act 2019 with headquarters in Gandhinagar, Gujarat. IFSC acts like a unified regulator, simplifying the rules and making it easier to do business in IFSC. Prior to IFSC, multiple regulators like RBI, SEBI, PFRDA, IRDA control IFSC operation. So friends, this was all about our today's session. The next session will be available in our paid course. So if you want to avail such type of content, you can enroll in our video course program for BFM. Also, we provide you mock test, PDF, capsule content which will help you in examination. If you want to get detail regarding this content, you can WhatsApp me on this particular number for more detail. The detail regarding the course is also provided in the description section. Thank you.